Introducing my latest acquisition, the KoomToom. So this is pretty cool and amazing. I'm trying to grow the business like I always do, and at the back of my head is this thing where we've been getting more and more into surface mount parts, small parts. I think I've said that I was really looking at how I could get access to some of this really expensive equipment like pick and place machines that pick up and put the chips on the board really precisely, and solder ovens where you can put the circuit board in an oven and it will slowly heat it to the right temperature to flow the solder so you get the best possible joints. And of course, I could just send this stuff off to China, give them my list of parts and they'll put it together. That's the norm. That's what we're supposed to do, right? You know, it's cheapest. I just don't want to. I want to do this stuff myself. Partly because I think my quality control is going to be higher than anything I could afford from China. You know, if I had £1 million and 10 million was thrown at China, maybe I could send a representative over there and they could keep an eye on it. But without that, I'm you know, any of the small company, like we're throwing money into the dark and hoping what comes back is good. And I've read so many horror stories of this. You wouldn't believe people who buy into production and assembly in China and the stuff comes back and it isn't exactly what they expected, and they've just got to make do. In fact, one of the most famous examples of this mess up was the Snarling Dog wah pedals. I can't say that was China or whatever, but it's an example of this where they actually made the original Snarling Dog wah chassis design and they sent it off and they came back and they were like, Diddy, and they were like, oh, that's not what we want, you've got the dimensions wrong. So they sent it off again and they came back and they were whopping. They were the ones that we all buy and see today. And they were like, well, we're done now. I mean, this is what we've got. We've got to sell these. They're like 30% bigger than we wanted them to be, but tough, you know? And they were able to run with that and became a classic. But we all know they weigh a ton. You can murder someone with one of those. And that was never the plan. So yeah, I want to make my own stuff. I think it's cool. I think it's faster because I don't have to wait weeks to see if what comes back is going to be any good, you know, because you order it, it turns up a month later, and if it's wrong, you've lost a month. You can't just say fix it. It's quality control. I mean, there is no quality control. You can't, at our level, we can't afford that. We can't be flying over there and sending representatives over there. So doing it in-house is going to be far more expensive, a lot more effort. And looking into those machines, I just, you know, I'm really looking at the bottom of the DIY. And then a friend of a friend pings me and says, hey, my cousin's got one of these. Could you use it? He's gonna get the scrap man to take it away. It works. And I'm like, really? Okay, what? Yeah, sure enough, pretty much as fast as I could, I went out there and borrowed a van and we picked this up. And now these are thousands and thousands of pounds. This is an old one. And this is a circuit board oven, a PCB oven, which has several stages. So you put all your parts on the circuit board and you put the solder paste on your board and you do all this and you line it up. And instead of having to solder millions of pins by hand or use a hot air, you put it on the conveyor and you press go. And it does all the right temperature curves to get the best possible soldering. So it brings it up to the right temperature, then it soaks it for a while to let everything get to the right temperature before melting and to let the flux activate and clean away the dirt. And then it spikes and it gives you a big temperature blast which melts the solder so it flows, and then it cools it down. So we've got these 4 stages: preheat, soak, soldering and cooling. And I'm going to show you this crazy thing. Look at this, here we go. It works. We have life. How cool is this? And so the first thing we've got is this conveyor. And I'm going to open this right up and show it you. So this lid contains heat shielding and a shroud. So any smoke and things that comes off the board is going to go in here and be vacuumed out. I've got a filter over there for it. And this is the heating element. Or I should say, 3 heating elements. You probably can't see it, but there's 3 zones with 3 temperature sensors, and this is the belt. And I can turn this belt on. And you can see, I'll turn it up so you can see it moving quickly. It moves slowly. Put the circuit boards on, then you get dragged through the different heating zones. And when you set the heating zone temperatures on these, so I'll turn one on temporarily, just so you can see the lights. And it's saying it's currently at 18 degrees. It's a target of 190 degrees. and it's going to in a minute, it's going to start telling me it's warming, and I can do other cool things. I'm going to turn it off because I don't want these to light up. How cool is that? Quite a simple machine. At the end of the three, there's fans and cooling over here you can't see. And of course, emergency stop. If I hit the off button, it begins a cool down cycle. So yeah, I have got the coolest solder oven in the world off the coolest dude in the world who has given me this machine. I cannot wait to try it out. One wrinkle, it takes 6,000 watts, so I can't plug it in. I mean, I've plugged it in, but I didn't turn it all on. That's okay. If I try turning it all on, boom, the fuses are going to go. So I'm going to have to arrange to have a wire fitted in here. This is going to be a couple of £100. But yeah, still cheaper than buying a desktop cheapie. It's the real deal. And at the back of my mind, I'm even thinking, you know, maybe once I've got this up and running, maybe I can offer this as a, I mean, tentatively say offer as a service to all the other pedal makers around the UK. You know, fast turnaround, short runs, good for prototyping maybe. We'll see. Anyway, thanks for watching. Catch you soon.